Hi, and welcome to the Modern Persian Food Podcast. We are food bloggers,
Bita Arabian,
and Bita Nazim Kelly, and we're here to share with you the rich flavors and fresh ingredients of Persian cooking and how to incorporate them into today's modern lifestyles.
We're excited to introduce you to the flavors, tastes, and techniques we use, and also our own cultural stories and perspectives growing up in the U.S. in a Persian family. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode number 29. I am here with the lovely Bita. Hi, Bita June.
Hi, Bita.
We thought that it would be a great opportunity as we are talking about Persian foods that we could spotlight different holidays or different regions as we all share the beautiful foods of Persian culture. And since Ramadan is a part of the culture that many Persians celebrate, we thought that maybe we just highlight some of the foods that people eat during this month, and we can share some of that information so that people know a little bit more about it. We think that with this cultural spotlight series that we will have, we can use the opportunity to not only talk about different holidays like Ramadan, but also the different regions of Iran and the different foods that they have in those different regions. So more to come on that. But since Ramadan is here, we thought let's go ahead and start with that one. And Ramadan is really a month of the Arabic calendar where people who are Muslim typically fast during those months, so they abstain from eating during daylight hours, and it's an opportunity for spiritual reflection and kind of self-improvement. So, Bita Jun, I don't think that you're very familiar with Ramadan in general, so bear with us as we talk about it a little bit more. I grew up in a household that my mom was more religious, and so I was exposed to a lot of these things growing up. And I think that this could just be a good exposure to people to learn a little bit more and also to recognize that there's a lot of people who actually don't celebrate Ramadan in Persian culture as well.
I love it. Thank you so much. Yeah, naturally, the times of year, holidays, whether they be religious or not religious, they influence our culture and they influence our foods that we enjoy. So I'm excited to, yes, be enlightened, enlighten me. I grew up in a non-practicing Muslim family. So I have extended family that definitely practice this ritual, the month of fasting, memories of my grandparents and, as I mentioned, extended family who have practiced this ritual. My parents were non-practicing Muslims, and I did not practice it personally myself, but of course I understand about it, and I'm interested in learning more. So why don't we dive into the food aspects?
Yeah. When someone is fasting, their blood sugar may kind of fluctuate a little bit. So a lot of times when people break their fast at the end of the day at sundown, they usually kind of start it off with either hot water or some tea to kind of ease their body back into having food. And so that's typically the drink of choice at that moment. Usually something sweet is eaten. Dates are very popular because they're full of energy. So a lot of people will have dates, and we talk all about dates in our date episode.
We talked about dates in episode 19.
Yeah. And so those dates can be kind of like either stuffed with walnuts or other nuts, or I know that your family really loves using nut butters to stuff in their dates, which sounds so delicious, and I love that. Sometimes with shredded coconut on it. So dates are a big part of Ramadan in general.
Just the other day, one of our girls made date caramel sauce. Oh my goodness. It was amazing. It was really good. Dates are pretty nutritious. And let me just chime in and also say that breakfast, most people know, but if you break down the etymology, the meaning of the word breakfast is to break your fast, gradually and slowly breaking the natural fast, which is when you're asleep. It's a time of quiet reflection, and you're going to ease into breaking the fast. At what time do you break the fast?
You do it at sundown. So you fast actually from sun up to sundown. And the month of Ramadan, actually, it's based on the Arabic calendar. So it actually moves forward 10 days every year. So sometimes out of the year, it'll be like in the winter season, and sometimes it'll be in the summer. So when it's the summer, the days are really long. So it's much harder to fast during those days. And in the wintertime, when like the sun goes down at like 5 o'clock, it's a much easier day to fast. So right now, it's kind of like in the springtime. So just at sundown. So whatever time that is in whatever region you are, but like around 6, 7 o'clock is when you break the fast.
My experience firsthand with Ramadan was we actually went to Turkey during Ramadan, and it was the most beautiful thing. We were in Istanbul, and to hear the prayers, be close to the beautiful mosques was something else. And in the evening, everybody would come out, at least in Istanbul and Turkey, and they would break their fast out in the parks and in the grass. And it was actually a very cool time to be there. Mm-hmm. It was a very cool experience.
That sounds amazing.
And I had some of the best halva in my life in Turkey.
Yeah. Tell us about halva.
So Persian halva is actually quite different than what you may have seen in a store or tried. The Arabic halva and the halva of many countries and regions has a lot of tahini in it. It's basically tahini and sugar. It's that really flaky. You've seen it. Sometimes it's kind of marbleized. Mm-hmm. But the Persian halva is very different. It's like a caramely colored, thick paste. It's made with wheat flour and butter. Those are the main ingredients. And then a sort of syrup is made with sugar, saffron, rose water, and cardamom. So the flavors are very Persian. I actually love halva. It appears when it's like somebody's passing anniversary, the date that they have passed away. It's a way to remember them, is someone in the family will make halva. And it's often decorated in a very beautiful way, either with thumbprints or almonds.
Really, I think it's mainly those occasions when someone has passed away or the anniversary of their passing or during religious events. And so from a presentation standpoint, the Persian halva is very creamy and luscious, and they usually present it in a flat platter. And then the decorations that you were talking about with either the fingerprints or like the edge of a spoon, they'll put like a beautiful design on it and decorate it with like slivered pistachios or slivered almonds to like make really beautiful presentation for it. And typically when you have it at those events, when someone passes away or something like that, the intent is that you have a little bite of that and you say a prayer for that person who's passed on. To that same type of cultural reference is the sholezard, which is like the saffron rice pudding. That's many times served when someone has passed away as well, but it's also served during Ramadan as well. Those can sometimes actually be presented in small containers so that people can take it with them to go. And a lot of times it's decorated with cinnamon as well. Sometimes even like the cinnamon, it can be in a design or some words can be actually written with the cinnamon on top of the individual sholezard rice pudding.
It's a rice pudding, but it's not made with milk or dairy. It's a rice pudding that's made with water, and it's kind of watery. Mm-hmm. And it has a lot of saffron. It's very vibrant in color, kind of a yellow.
It's bright yellow.
Yeah, and very sweet. It has a lot of sugar. And so it's interesting how many of the traditional things that are offered and enjoyed at religious and Ramadan times are sweet.
Yeah. I know from like a Ramadan standpoint that, some people's like blood sugar may fluctuate throughout the day. So starting when they break their fast, having something sweet is a nice way to ease into that. I think a lot of people reference zulbia bamia, which are like these delicious fried dough funnel cake of sorts.
Deep fried. It has like a simple syrup on it. Very sweet as well.
Yep, with saffron. And zulbia bamia is actually not just a religious food. They have that in like celebration times and things like that as well too. So zulbia bamia is like one of those really delicious Persian sweets and desserts that kind of goes across all different events. Happy, sad, all different events. People are having zulbia bamia.
It's a dessert. You have to have it with tea.
Yeah.
It's really sweet.
Yeah.
It's like a Persian donut funnel cakes with syrup.
Mm-hmm. So delicious. Every country will celebrate a little bit differently and have different foods, but we're talking about kind of like the Persian foods. Two main dishes that come to mind are the adas polo, which is the lentil rice with raisins and dates and cinnamon on top of them. It's a hearty food. It's something that gives a lot of energy. So if you're not eating all day, you have kind of like strength. And the other one is the khoresh ghemeh. Khoresh is like a stew served over rice. And Bita, can you tell us a little bit about ghemeh? I know you make a really delicious version.
Sure. And it's interesting. I love all these foods on this list. Adas polo is one of my favorite Persian rice mixed dishes. And khoresh ghemeh is also one of my favorites. And they're all comfort foods. They're all like the feel-good comfort foods. So I find that really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I make it with chicken. It's a yellow split pea stew. In my recipe, I think most recipes, tomato base.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, how do you make yours? Do you make crema?
I haven't made it very often, but I love eating it. I think the traditional way to make it is with beef or lamb, but it's great that you make yours with chicken. It just makes a little bit of a healthier version. It does have the tomato base to it. And from a presentation standpoint, they'll put fried potatoes on top of it, which is like so fun because there is not a lot of dishes that actually have that in Persian culture. That basically it's like French fries on top of it.
I love the French fries on top. Crema is not a sweet one, though. I would categorize that as a sour.
Yeah.
I love it when it's really sour and it has the dry sour lime.
Yeah, limo amani. That's right. Yeah, it's definitely a more sour, savory dish. And, you know, in the evening after people have broken their fast, it's also a food that you'll give out to other people in this month if you're like sharing your food. Or some people have annual traditions that they make a big batch of that and then give it to their friends and their neighbors.
Oh, how lovely. Bita June, is halim and ashrashte also on the menu during this month?
Yeah, it is. Those are both cozy, comforting, soupy meals, and those are definitely very popular. Different regions in Iran will eat different foods, but ashishte and halim are definitely right up there. Ashishte, the hearty noodle and bean and herb and spinach soup that we love. We love having that around New Year's too. And halim, we've talked about, is the porridge made with oats and typically turkey garnished with like cinnamon and sugar on top and melted butter. So yeah, that's right. Those are some Ramadan foods as well.
I just made ash last night. And ash, I think it's another one. I mean, I made a big pot of it. And so I was able to share it with a couple of different families. So that's another one that's really nice to share.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much for sharing about Ramadan and Ramadan-related foods, Bita June.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for chiming in and having it part of our episode list. And I'm hoping that we can really spotlight different regions and other foods. I'm really interested in kind of seeing what Persian Jewish foods there are. And hopefully we'll have a guest on in a future episode who can enlighten us about all of those as well.
That'd be great. Good idea.
Great. So let's move on to Ask the Beats. This week, our question comes from Reddit, actually, and we have someone asking us, what is a good substitute for zidishk? And zidishk is a barberry berry that comes in a lot of different forms in Persian food. It is in our zidishk polo, which is with saffron and these berries, and it's sweet and sour, but it could be kind of hard to get a hold of. You can order it online if you don't have a Persian market near you, but what are some options that we can do? What can we do to substitute zidishk if we don't have zidishk?
So the first thing that comes to mind, there's a Persian dish called zereshk polo, and typically and traditionally it's made with the tart barberries, dried barberries. It's kind of sauteed in butter and sugar and saffron, and then it's sprinkled over the rice. Oh, it's so good. So a really good substitute for that, if you can't find it any zereshk or you happen to run out. I keep a bunch in the freezer at my house, but dried cranberries. They are naturally sort of tart and sweet. You don't need to add as much sugar if you're going to use the cranberries, and it maintains the color and the aesthetic. It's sort of similar, although cranberries are bigger than zereshk. It is a bit sweeter, but I think that's a fine substitute. And our family likes to just make it with cranberries on purpose for like Western holidays like Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think cranberries is a great substitution. You know, the traditional zirish kura will have slivered almonds and slivered pistachios as well. So if you kind of add those elements with the cranberries as well, you really don't feel like you're missing the zirish flavor so much, because you just really feel like you're having kind of like the whole dish in its entirety with just a little bit of a substitution with what's available. Hopefully that can help inspire people to use cranberries if they don't have zirish and try out a new recipe. And yeah, as always, if you have any questions for us, please feel free to email us at hello@modernpersianfood.com or reach out to us via Instagram. And we'd love to feature your question on a future episode.
This was fun. Thank you so much, Bita June. Take care.
Thank you, Bita June. Have a great day. So you've been listening to Modern Persian Food with Bita and Beata. Thanks for spending time with us. If you enjoyed what you heard today, consider telling your friends or giving us a good rating on iTunes. You can subscribe to our show for free on your favorite podcasting app or find us online at modernpersianfood.com for recipes and info that we talked about today. Thanks so much. We'd love to hear your thoughts and see you next time.